Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Loosehead Sports Show, the number one sports show on planet Earth with the two most attractive coaches in the Shoot Shield currently. Jed Gillespie, how the fuck are you?
Not bad, mate. I'm just putting some Vaseline on my lens.
So what?
Yeah, seems like a long time since we've done this dance, to be honest.
Well, I had a number of messages, so it's actually surprising the amount of people that listen to this. Like you and I don't really keep track of the numbers. It's more like a little fun thing that we do every week. But I've fucking so many messages. When's the pod dropping? I want to listen. I want to do exercise. Can you talk about this? Can you talk about that? You know, how do you feel about Jed beating you on the weekend? You know, I had a number of those. So
yeah, well, the funny thing is, I look, last week was I ran into the South crowd were not the. Hold on, I'll distinguish this. Not the crowd in that little grandstand thing that was abusing me. We'll get to that. But the older supporters of South, I said hello to a number of them, or they came and said hello to me, and they were very, very nice and asked about the podcast. But they were sort of like a few people have gone, is it because you guys were playing each other? And I'm thinking, no, not at all. It's just coincidentally, I think we both had weeks from hell, basically. And just we couldn't do it.
You had a lot of work on. I had a lot of work on, and it was just we kind of train on different nights. So any night you had free, I was busy, and then vice versa. And we finally managed to carve out an hour of time.
Firstly, I got sprayed. Like you were saying though, I was getting hammered by my mates and a few people towards Thursday, and I just went ballistic at them. I said, look, it's fair play to them because it's probably mean that we've now hardened down like a time to do it every week. But like, do Ben James, like, do you want to pay my rent?
To be fair,
like,
it's probably the only thing that those kind of people have to look forward to.
Yeah, I'll support that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was, look, I had a great time. My brother was here for the last week and a bit. He said he ran into you.
I had chat to him before the game, and then I had a good yarn to him after the game as well. So that was good. He was just, I think, prepping for some schooners when I ran into him at first. So it was about
9 a.m. probably.
Yeah, it was about 7:45. No, it was around the start of second grade, and then after the game, he was fine though. I think he's an experienced beersman.
He's got some resilience. I'll give him that.
Yeah, so no, I actually had a good yarn with your mother as well a couple of times. So it was, it was good. I caught up with a whole bunch of the Chubs. It was
we barely saw it. We barely saw each other. I went through my usual Saturday's depression afterwards and had to drown a couple of quiet beers on my own before I could be social. But what'd you make of it all? I've got to admit, I quite enjoyed watching you guys all last week and seeing what's going on down there. And look, there's after doing a deep dive into Jed Gillespie and the Gillespiettes, there's no surprise that you guys are going very well.
I appreciate that, man. I think the game on the weekend, I always call my dad after games. I don't know whether you call your old man, but I always call my dad. Like he played a lot of rugby and he's a fairly smart guy. And he just goes, "That was the worst game of rugby I've ever seen in my life." And I went, it's off the bat. He knows I'm usually calling him to. I like hearing someone's opinion who's not involved in. Like, instead of going, this person, that, but he would just be like, mate, who's that bloke playing 6? Yeah, he was really good. Or like, that bloke playing 3, he was good.
Someone without any emotion and nothing, who will just tell you what's going on.
Nothing attached. There's no knowledge of training or like this or just nothing. Anyway, so or I call him to just complain about, Granger missing a call or something like that. But he just goes, gee whiz, that was a dreary fucking game of football. That first 40 could just be on fast forward. And I thought, yeah, it was. It was very, I think it was really, really physical. Like, people were getting fucking whacked out there, like really whacked. And it was, to be honest, it was mostly coming from South. A few of our, like, we got, I suppose, a few carriers and a few people just getting teed off on. So it was a very physical game in the first half, but I think it was marked mostly by the penalty count, which was just enormous.
One or two, weren't there?
And they were, and in the debrief, it's been established 100% fair. Like, I can only speak on behalf of my team, but they were all 100% play on. Like, just dumb things, high tackles, things like that. So, when you're actually doing them and they're not sort of 50-50 line ball calls, I mean, what's the referee supposed to do? So we absolutely deserved our penalties.
You know what I thought of that game? It was like, those MMA fights that you see where there's not a lot of action happening. There might be like a leg kick and then a check and then a jab and then another jab. And I felt like that game was just all jabs until the end when you guys started to get some leg kicks in and then ended up running away with it on points at the end.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a dreary game.
It was.
There was some good stuff. Look, to be fair, there's some good D from both teams, I thought, in patches anyway. And I don't know. I'd imagine from Eastwood, that's one that you're happy to get the W. I haven't even had a drink since yesterday, and I'm already slurring my words. Being around Lachlan Chubb is not good for anyone's house.
We need
get
it.
The W and you move on, kind of thing.
Well, South is it's just a hard place to play. I've crapped on about this before, so I won't do it again, but it's a difficult place to play. There's always a very vocal crowd. It gets cold down there. Like, it's just different. It's its own element. And so, like we needed that win badly, coming into, I suppose, one more round than the bye.
Just to say, I'm looking forward to that bye, just quietly.
Yeah, I think we've spoken about it before. No offense to our teams or the players who I like very much, but I am looking forward to the bye. Unfortunately, as we approach the bye, I don't know about you, but things are starting to pop up like, we'll do that bye week. We'll do that bye week. That'd be a good thing to do bye week. So now the bye week's starting to fill up nicely as well. So we'll definitely train once in the bye week. And at the moment, it is chock-a-block. So very exciting.
It's unreal. Are you going away or are you just going to stay around?
Mate, I don't know. I've reached out to a few punters, ex-shoot shield punters like Jared Barry, trying to get away from Sydney. I might go up the coast. I will do so. I'll have to do something. I
wouldn't mind going to the snow.
Yeah, you mentioned going to the snow. I don't think my joints can do the snow. I'm too fat and like broken.
Well, that probably sums both of us up reasonably well.
Before we leave foreshore, which we will have to at some point, the South crowd. What is the name of the South crowd? Like, do they call themselves something like at Eastwood? They're the Tropics or the whatever. What's the South crowd called?
I don't know. There's the Favourite Sons. Actually, that's probably what it's called. Favourite Sons is like, it's like the Old Boys Network.
Okay, so the people in that like grandstandy thing you have.
Yeah, where we stand during the game on the roof.
Yeah,
they're all the old individuals down there.
What about the delinquents on where I was standing on my side?
So there's near the orange container.
Yes, near the orange container.
That's the original fourth grade family hill. That's usually a bunch of the fourth grade, third grade boys who've been there all morning and who get to fucking sink some piss in the afternoon.
So very importantly, they were very, very funny and very loud. So I obviously got like a fair few people from South. So I saw Bono, I saw a number of guys. I saw our friend Pony, said hello to him. Yeah. Good to see him. And then literally 20 minutes later, like I'm standing 30 meters to their left and it's just, fuck you, Gillespie. And I'm like, okay, here we go. So I managed to avoid it for most of the game. They were hammering Waylo, hammering a few of the guys, which 100% play on, like coming from an Eastwood, like Eastwood crowd's not great either. And then at halftime, I was walking back across the field and it's just, get the fuck off the field, you fat. I felt like I was back at NTS training. Fuck off. Then the final one of the game was, I think it was 19-13, but we were down your half. So I was like, oh, fuck, I'm going to duck down to those toilets. And I'm walking down like they won't see me. And then it's again, you better not be fucking pissing in there. And I looked up and went, what do you want me to do in there? I thought pissing would be good. Like, what do you want me to do in this toilet? So,
oh God, I hope they didn't.
I had a fun day on that side. Makes a difference having a loud crowd. It really does.
They're a bunch of maniacs. I already know. I didn't hear any of this, but I already know who's yelling at you.
But having said that, I had a chat with a few guys after the game who asked if I was selling drugs and if I could get any. And then found it very, very like they came up to me straight face as well, and then they burst into laughter. So it was quite funny.
I had some great messages last week. Actually, I should read one to you. Hold on.
Yeah,
mate. Number of fans of the podcast. Actually, no, you keep going first because I got after our last podcast where you basically called out Greg Dowden. Well, you didn't basically call him out. He's got 55 different his unsent messages. God, I don't even know. I'll never appear on your podcast. Who the fuck makes Gillespie an expert anyway? I used to like him when he played, but no longer. Good luck. What the fuck makes you an expert apart from the fact that your team's coming first and shoot shield?
Well, I don't know what to do now. Like, what am I? What do we stop the podcast? Should I call back to you and tell him that I'm not coming to training anymore? I don't care. All I was saying was he's a fair weather supporter. He'll jump on your team when they're winning and he jumps off when they're losing. So when I think lost to Randwick and we're 1-1 or something like that, he was apparently dragging us. I'm not even on Facebook. So if you're dragging us, don't jump on later. That's all I'm saying.
I just think it's funny. What the fuck makes him an expert apart from the fact he's
nothing makes me an expert. I don't think I'm claiming to be an expert. In fact, on this podcast, we often say the exact opposite. We're the opposite of experts. But
it's true. It's true.
That's enough fucking hot air about that. I'm not doing any more. The last time
I got a bite there. That's all.
I'm not doing any more hot air on that. I'm going to go through the round the grounds.
Sure.
With Tony Chalmers. Randwick beat West 17-20, 20-17. So that's pretty much how I have it in my mind. That's that's close though. That's a close game for Randwick.
It's probably fair, I'd say.
That sits right in my mind. Manly continue to win 25-22 against East. That probably doesn't sit quite right. Although Manly have been a touch, when I say a touch inconsistent, so have we. So it's no shot on you, Manly, but East haven't been amazing. You would think if Manly were really putting on one of their days, that could have been a bigger score. The Rats 42 to the Wildfire 21.
Also game.
Yeah, how was it?
It was one-sided from start to finish.
Okay, so did the Rats get out in front, or a Hunter sort of do?
Pretty early, yeah. Pretty early. They got in front. It was,
That's the key. That's the key. I look on. It's not the key to some teams are big comeback teams. I don't think Hunter are at the moment. They sort of play on emotion a little bit like Para. So if you can get out in front of them, it might save you a pretty tough day. Uni beat Gordon 27-19. I've watched that one. That was if our game wasn't great to watch, that wasn't as good. That wasn't very good either. Look, I think there was 4 rolling maul tries scored through the game. Obviously, Uni very heavy rolling mauls, but Gordon scored 2 as well. It was a Chatswood. Chatswood's a little bit wet. There's a lot of kicking, a lot of penalties.
How Gordon have turned out has been interesting to me because we played them a couple of times early on, one in a trial and then round 1 or round 2 maybe, and I thought they'd be going a lot better than they've been going. I think maybe there's been some things going on there, a bit of COVID, the flu, injuries. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just speculating because it doesn't make sense to me.
I got no idea. I truly have no idea. I don't know. That's how the teams sit in my head. That result probably reflects recent results. But I don't know what's going on there. They obviously don't have the cattle that they had for the 2020. but that's okay because they've still got very good footballers, in my opinion. So I'll tie that back to one theory that someone threw at me for North, could be complete bullshit, but the two Blues win another one, 34-33. Sticking around and sort of showing what they're worth, which is very, very impressive. Again, another reason why it was, we had them a week ago, why it's so important to win that game. I was talking to someone earlier in the season when we were heading out to Cowra, and at the time, Norths were, if you recall, just shit hot.
Great place, Cowra, by the way.
Great place, Cowra. I fucking love it.
Shout out to the Eagles.
Your mother said that she had 2 girls lined up for me in Cowra when I spoke to her on the weekend. And I said, well, that's fucking 6 weeks too late, isn't it? What am I supposed to do with that information? Also,
two of them as well.
I couldn't do half. But the poor women. I was talking to someone and they said, look, I think if we can beat North, their bubble will burst and they'll lose a couple. And I was sort of like, it seems a little bit intangible and like fluffy for my thinking, but they were sort of riding high on confidence. They were playing spectacular football. When North play well, they play good footy. Like it's really well structured. They're good defenders. They have a nice set piece without not an amazing scrum, but a really nice line out. But he was like, look, if North lose this one, I think their bubble will burst of confidence. And I wonder if maybe something similar has happened to Gordon. I have no fucking idea, but I can only imagine that it is hard to go through a period where you're killing it and then just get a road bump. It's not easy.
Absolutely. It could be one of these. Look, we're struggling a little bit at the moment. It's I think you could probably see if you watch the game back on the weekend, there's some things go against you, heads go down, and maybe Norths are a bit like that at the moment as well. I haven't watched them enough to make a proper.
No, neither have I. Which is why it was just something someone said to me at the time, and I don't think it really is necessarily just applicable to Norths. I think it applies to anyone, but it's hard to. It's a very big skill, like you were alluding to be able to, and it's something that I've been crapping on about. I'm sure my players are sick of it. Is to be able to fuck a line out up and then deliver on the next one, as if nothing happened. So that was. We had a bit of a breaking point this year with that, where we'd had a bad week, and I was like, well, look, if you're a 90% team and you miss a line out, then you hit your next one. That's how it works. But you got to have the ability to, like a 5-second memory. Like you can't base all your confidence off the first play of the game. You got to base it on the work you've done.
Got to be a goldfish
memory. And look, I don't think I think young players struggle with it immensely. Like if you get a young center and they drop the first ball of the game, like it's not good, which makes them good to play, in my opinion. Conversely, if they kick a 50-22 in the first play of the game, they'll be firing.
100%.
But I found as I got older, if I dropped the ball in the first half, I didn't remember until the review. I was like, oh fuck.
Well, there's nowhere to hide now, is there? Probably when we
were young.
There was no GPSs, there's no huddle, there's no stats edge, all that kind of stuff. Now, if you fart on the field, it's picked up on the fucking referee's mic, and
you're in big strife. The stats are. I think I don't know whether over the top's the right word, but they're fucking like in depth. So, you can. The problem is, I have. I'm sure you have the same, but I have face value perceptions of the game where I'm like, that was good, they were good, that was bad. Like I wasn't happy with our line on the weekend. But I was okay, and then your stats come back and it's like, well, that was actually all right. I thought he was really busy, but he missed 4 tackles, like just things like that. So you're right. Yeah. There's nowhere to hide. Back in the day, it's like, yeah, Chubby had a good game, and then you're like, sweet, on to next week. Where now it's like, well, you'll be broken down on huddle by 9 p.m. and then by Sunday or Monday, there'll be a full stats write-up on how your game was. So you got nowhere to fucking go. It makes it very hard.
I find with the stats, it probably just validates your own opinion, or you might have missed something that you weren't quite sure about. But like we've had games where we won every single statistic but the scoreboard.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit like
the big stat that like has been a sticking point for good teams is the ruck speed, and ruck's under 3 seconds. So I remember going into the North game, and their ruck speed and their percentage of rucks that were under 3 seconds was fucking incredible compared to ours, which were very, very slow. And maybe that reflects the two different types of sides. But like those sort of stats are really, really helpful. And then they've got some bizarre things like arrivals and reshapes. It
says 0 and
I just get lost. I'm like, you're telling me there was no anyway. Look, if you haven't seen it, it's not worth talking about. But the stat, there's nowhere for guys to hide these days. I don't know if I'd survive playing these.
What's very interesting, Jed Gillespie, is that at least in the shoot shield games that I've been given the stats for, the ball's in play higher than a lot of Super Rugby games. So I think that a lot of people probably enjoy watching shoot shield for that reason, that there's a lot of footy that is actually being played.
Not our game on the fucking weekend, it wasn't.
I haven't seen the stats.
For
Uni was like 36 minutes, something crazy in play.
Yeah, well, that was I can understand that because I've watched that game, and that was for periods. There was a lot of kicking going on. There was a lot of kicking battles. So yeah, but I mean that's the shoot shield after this week. So we got Uni this week at Uni, which is never an easy game, but also one that you can't not get up for. I mean, Eastwood have just a rivalry with Uni going back a long time now.
I feel like everyone has a rivalry.
Everyone has a rivalry with Uni. I mean, I think we've sort of had the lion's share of grand final appearances over the last sort of 15 years or 20 years, even the early 2000s. We played them a couple of years in a row in the grand finals, and look, it's just it'll be a fucking hard game. If that's the best way to go into a bye week. Knocking off Uni, but the advantage of a game like that is that you don't have to try as hard to get guys up for it.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Because it's flowing through sort of the club, whereas there are games, and it's not a disrespectful to that team, but there might just not be that history. So you have to make sure people are up for it, and we definitely fucking missed that a few times this year. Who have you guys got?
We are playing the Hunter Wildfires, and this will be my first trip up to Newcastle since they've been in the competition. So I'm looking forward to it.
It's very like. Are you playing Friday, Saturday?
Saturday. I think it's Saturday. Yeah,
it's
pretty sure. Yeah,
it's like it's a really nice place to play football. Did you play there once or not?
I've never been there.
Oh, I played there once or twice. It's a fucking lovely, lovely ground, and it's obviously a bit of a drive for the guys on game day, but it's not too bad, and it's
bit of a taste of country rugby, mate. I'm looking forward to it.
It was fucking fantastic. I liked playing there, and I suppose the difficulty about playing there is Hunter are a bit of a spanner team. It's hard to know what you're going to get. They got that. Their inside centers just absurdly explosive. I'm not sure if he's playing at the moment, but they had some. They got some good footballers, and they're again one of those teams that, like, fuck on their week, they're very hard to beat. So
absolutely. Like I've watched them absolutely tear some teams apart, and conversely, the following week they get torn apart. So it's a bit hard to pick. It's definitely a game you have to be up for regardless.
That's again like that. That would be an example of a game where it's harder to get the team up for it. I mean, it's a new team; they haven't been in the comp long. You don't have a lot of you can't.
There's not that history.
You can't drag something back like remember when this guy said that, or that he went out and said that this club's just things. You can drag anything from anywhere, but it's very hard with Hunter because I mean, fuck, I actually quite like Hunter. They seem like a nice bunch of guys, and they've got a really nice ground, and they're brand new to the comp. So what I've got to invent something to fucking hate them.
Oh well, exactly right. Look at them with all their fun.
Yeah, fuck those guys. We're down here in the cold.
It is cold, isn't it?
Now, it's fucking freezing. Now that's why I'm wearing a beanie and a hoodie inside. The government wants you to pay electricity bills, Chubby. I'm not fucking doing it.
Mate, surely you've got enough money now with your 15 jobs.
I mean, paid yet. So we did miss something last week, and our one listener who doesn't like politics is not going to like it, but we had a federal election. Ladies and gentlemen, sausage sandwiches for all. Get your vote in.
Oh my God. I honestly have. You pay attention to politics.
I love it.
The thing that stood out for me, obviously, you voted for the marijuana party. They didn't get in.
I actually saw them on there, and I was shocked.
Well, they're on there every 3 years or whatever it is. But the thing that blew me away, the only thing that I can recall standing out to me all week is Uncle Clive Palmer, Australian billionaire, spent $100 million on.
Yeah, but he's worth fucking 7.
So that's what I was going to ask you. Is that a tax deduction for his business?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question.
Because if he did it for that purpose, then he is smarter than he looks.
Oh, he's definitely smarter than he looks. But also, I did see a thing recently on how much money different people have, and he legitimately has a fair few quid. So,
how does he make it?
Mines, isn't it?
No idea.
I don't know. You're asking the wrong guy. Oh, well, right. You should technically. You're asking the right guy. You're a big Clive Palmer guy. I bet you to it, motherfucker.
He's a hero of yours, obviously.
I will say, to spend $100 million now, the party's not brand new anymore. What's it, 4 or 5 years old, and to not get a seat, it's not. They should really just channel the $100 million into one fucking electorate and drag one guy out of it. You know,
look. I feel like they're a little bit of a joke at this point. And I know that will offend you saying that because you're a big fan of what they stand for. But like, yeah, that's right. Every time I see Clive Palmer out, I try and take a photo and then put your face on
it. Well, look, I think personally, like, I think he's just big boned. But yeah, look, they didn't get a seat. The guy who was trying to get a ramp for Asquith train station didn't get in. So that was my big takeaway of the week. But I always
wonder, what are they going to do now? All their dreams are gone. They're not going to get into local government. Like, what do they do now?
He's going to have to take the stairs. To be honest, I don't know what else he's going to do.
So he's like, just fucking, like, how's he going to get through his life knowing that he...
Yeah, I don't know. The thing that interests me, look, it's a win-win. I hope the government goes really well and everything fucking goes great because it's good for
us.
It's good, literally good for everyone.
It is.
The thing that interests me about particularly the younger generation, I mean, you yourself aren't big into politics, but I suppose how many people just they cast a vote without knowing anything about what they're voting for. You. There was a player training, and like I think it's so important that everyone has their vote and has the right to have their vote but also I'd like to know like which aspects of, maybe I'm reading too far into it, like which aspects appeal to you. You know, so one of our guys was like, yeah, I voted for the Greens, and I was like, well, which aspects of the Greens appeal to you? No answer. So it's like that's what surprises me about, and particularly like the younger kids these days coming out of school, it's like, yeah, I'm 100%. I've got to vote Greens the environment. I'm like, well, fair enough, but do you know what that means for your taxes? Do you know what that means for your electricity bill? Do you know what the outcome? Like, do you know any of this? So I asked him.
How do you find this out, Jed Gillespie? Because I need to know. How do you find out all that?
You got to read and listen to stuff.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah, well, I suppose I don't know. It just surprised me because I said to him, I'm like, yeah, fair enough. Well, look, like, let's say your electricity bill's $100. You'd be okay if it's $150? And he's like, yeah, I think so. Like for the,
absolutely not.
And I said, well, what if it was $300? And I suppose that's why I don't know. It just baffles me how people don't know anything but are willing to drive our cause so hard. I don't get it.
Yeah, if you don't know anything but you're driving a cause, you are dumb.
One of my favorite things to do is someone who shares something, whether it be a social justice cause or something, and ask them a question about it. and immediately not get a reply. You know, like this was awful. And I'll be like, oh, what happened? And they'll be like, oh, I don't know. Like, just fucking be smarter, people in the universe. You're all idiots. Fucking idiots.
I sure am. But no, that was a good politician chat. I kind of watch it for the entertainment value. Although Australian politics isn't as interesting as US politics to me because I don't know. I feel like we're a bit more boring here.
Oh, we're way more boring because everyone's centered. Like we're very centered, so everything's very similar. So it's not a big deal. I mean,
I didn't know who Anthony Albanese was until 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, fuck. Look, I don't know. Penny Wong's the fucking foreign affairs minister. So the
Peter Dutton is the Liberal leader now.
Yeah. So the thing about this is going to go too deep. I'm going to do 15 seconds as it. Peter Dutton's actually very popular in the Conservatives, so he will unite the Conservatives. But he's also known as Voldemort amongst anyone who owns social media. So it's a bit of a trade-off.
You know who one of my favourite politicians is, and I know you're a huge fan of his.
You're about to say Barnaby Joyce, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Yeah, Barnaby.
Well, actually, interestingly, Barnaby got voted out as the head of the Nationals yesterday. But I heard him on, which is whatever. Who cares, really? He's still got his seat. I heard him advocating for nuclear power, which is very, very fucking smart. He's like, it was very funny the way he puts it. Look, you hate him or love him, he puts things very straight. He's like, you don't want nuclear power. You got a nuclear reactor in the middle of Sydney. You got fucking nuclear subs in your harbour. Why the fuck wouldn't you want nuclear power? Good point.
That's what he said. Fuck.
Yep.
Why the fuck?
No, I added the fuck for emphasis, but they're literally word for word. And it is very, very efficient energy. So anyway, that's enough politics. And shout out to Barnaby. He listens every week.
Can I bring up another subject? Are you actually planning these podcasts? I
Well,
don't.
no, I plan them around you interjecting. That's the point.
I want you to go off about the Johnny Depp Amber Heard situation.
Unbelievable. Well, I'm worried that I'm going to lose some of the audience who aren't aware of the case, though.
Hey, like my mum doesn't know about it, but she's probably the only one that listens to this.
I'll do a 30-second summation. Johnny Depp sued Amber Heard for allegedly wrongly accusing him of domestic violence a couple of years ago, which caused him to lose out on a number of endorsement deals and Pirates of the Caribbean 14, which is a lot of money. So he sued her for defamation for $50 million. She countersued for $100 million. Lord knows where that $100 million is from. And effectively, we've now got to see them in court for 4 weeks, just going back and forth about their lives. So basically, everyone on the planet now knows Amber Heard is a lying dog of a human. And yes.
Camille Vasquez. Gun.
Smoke show. So one of Johnny Depp's lawyers, who he's probably dating now, is an absolute bombshell and very, very smart. But they effectively aired all their dirty laundry. But the difference between their dirty laundry is Johnny Depp, that's the way he keeps his laundry very fucking dirty. So he's going, yeah, I was doing cocaine then, I was doing this then, but I didn't do that. And he's had every witness in the world come to support him. And she's had fucking not a single person. So
Kate Moss coming on when she said that Amber Heard said Kate Moss got pushed down the stairs, and she's come on and goes, no, he never pushed me down the stairs.
Yeah, that was bad.
In fact, he got me pain medication and looked after me.
The reason as well, for some people who haven't been tuning in, the reason why Chubby's calling her Amber Turd is because at one point during their relationship, Johnny came home to find a large morsel
Gillespie or James Whalen will say
a large human feces on his side of the bed, which she blamed on the dog, but basically it's implied that she indeed shit on his bed. Well, shit on their bed, but on his side. So it's unbelievable. The trial, it's truly unbelievable. But there's no way in this earth I will give my laptop to the nearest child if she gets paid a single cent out of this. That just won't happen. I'm not sure he'll get the full 50 mil, but She won't get $1. Guarantee
he'll get his career back, which is probably worth more than 50 mil. But one of my favorite parts is when Camille Vasquez goes, and did you end up giving the $7 million to the charity? I pledged the $7 million, but did you give it to them or donate it to them or did you transfer it or whatever?
Define
I pledged it.
Define give. She was like, define give. Basically, she promised $7 million to this charity from a divorce settlement and just didn't give it. Anyway, she's a piece of shit, and I think time will tell. She's going to struggle for work now, which is good because bad things should happen to them, in my opinion. Like you and I.
That's right, mate. If you're trying to ruin someone's life, like, let's be honest, I'm sure Johnny Depp is a fucking nutbag.
Yeah, but you can tell. He says he is.
Like, he doesn't try and hide it, but it's pretty obvious that she's been lying. And she's tried to ruin his life.
Oh, it's fucked. It's fucked, particularly in the Me Too movement,
At that exact time. Apparently it was when she was putting out Aquaman or whatever. So, yeah.
Look, Aquaman fucking sucks. He can't even do shit out of the water. So
that was a shit movie.
Yeah, I didn't even watch it. But, for a superhero who only operates in water, right, I'll just fucking move 3Ks inland. What are you going to do now, Aquaman, you fucking idiot? Shittest superhero there is, bro. Except the guy from fucking the Avengers who just has a bow and arrow, like
Hawkeye.
Everyone else is, mate. I roll up with an AR-15 and I'm automatically more useful than that fucking superhero. Unbelievable. Sort your shit out.
That was a good rant. You go after Hawkeye now from.
Everyone knows he's the worst fucking superhero, and Jeremy Renner's a fucking weirdo little midget. I'm going on to no offense to all the midgets out there. I'm going on to the next. I'm going to quickly back to rugby, and then I've got another thing.
Sure.
Australian men's sevens won.
I know, but I know. Yeah, that's very interesting considering that how many professional sevens players are there now? 4?
Yeah, probably 6 maybe.
And the rest of them are made up of guys from Brisbane Club Rugby and Shoot Shield.
Was Lawson on it?
Also was there, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Matt Gonzalez was there from Eastwood. So basically, yeah, I mean, look, they did the old coach swapperoonie, the sevens programs this year, which is fucking in itself odd. But
it's worked.
It's worked. But this is a big fuck you from Johnny Minetti, really. And conflict of interest, I have one, but this is a big fuck you from him because taking the men's side who were only partially professional was a demotion in a way, with the women getting the money, equality. And then he's, managed to assemble the right sort of guys from the Shoot Shield and Brisbane Club Rugby and be really successful. I mean, they've made the semi-finals, I think, 3 times, and now they've won the comp. They won in London. So it's fucking huge. I'd love to see, and I'm sure it's not extravagant, but the New Zealand Sevens budget and what they're doing, and then, what Australian Sevens managed to do, which is, take 5 players who are getting, 70K and then 10 guys who were playing club footy and turn them into a literal, they won the championship. So
it's awesome, isn't it?
It's fucking awesome. It was very, very cool to see. And they'd been leading up to it in some ways. I mean, they'd been playing well in the tournaments. They really had.
If I could have my life over again, I would have been a sevens player because they look like they have a great time, even though it looks really hard.
It's too hard. I wouldn't like to do that. I'd like to. I used to think about a over 120 kilo sevens tournament, but then I thought about Nemani Nadola. So then I thought, well, you got to be over 120, but your skin folds have to be a certain amount as well. So
you have to run a 6-second 40 meters.
Yeah, that made things more complicated because I was like, fuck, I'd be okay in an over 120 sevens tournament. But then I was like, well, not if there's a big winger or a big fucking athletic PS Space looking thing. I'd get hammered. So.
Dwayne Vermeulen.
I haven't spoken to him for a while, but he's a big unit. So anyway, shout out to them. While we're in Europe, Chubby.
Oh, La Rochelle. Is that what you're going to bring up?
No, I wasn't. Shoot.
Oh, no, it's La Rochelle won the Heineken Cup.
Yeah, La Rochelle. Will Skelton.
Did you see this? The video of them going through the town on the bus?
No, I haven't. I know it's not a big place though, so they would have gone.
Packed.
Well, when we were younger, and I was obsessed with all things rugby, they just got promoted probably 7 years ago, and now they won the fucking Heineken Cup. But they got some cattle. I mean, I know Will Skelton's there, is he?
Will Skelton's there. Ronan O'Gara's the
Ronan O'Gara's there. I believe Higher West is there. But yeah, shout out to them. I know this will be translated for them back to bonjour.
Bonjour.
What I was going to say, all things bonjour, is did you see someone has smudged cake on the Mona Lisa?
I saw that. What the fuck is wrong with some people? Wasn't it a statement about the environment?
Of course it was a fucking statement about the environment. Don't bait me into that like that.
But it is though, isn't it? Like, educate me. This is why I talk to you, so I get educated.
Yeah, it is. So a dude like dressed up as a grandma rolled in. By the way, have you seen the Mona Lisa? You would have.
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah.
It's a packed fucking room with like a red velvet rope and a little thing like Mona Lisa. Like, okay.
Be hard to get to.
How the fuck do they not have in the world's most famous painting at least one guy standing next to it to make sure no one smears anything of any smearing variety onto it? Like, and then I saw videos and they're sort of like escorting the guy out. Like, kick him in the fucking head. What are you letting him walk out for? Yeah, this shit needs to happen in a country that doesn't tolerate these sort of things. Like you go to anywhere backwards like the Middle East, and like our protesters, go glue yourself to their main fucking thoroughfare, see what happens. You now become a human sticker because everyone will just keep driving. But
you've been to Paris before?
Yeah, I've seen it. And look, it's fucking the Louvre, obviously beautiful. It was fucking cool. But the fact that he was able to do it, rub fucking cake on it, then someone appeared just to be wiping it normally. I was like, surely they've got a better way to clean it than just wipe it with a Kleenex.
Maybe they have a fake one out and they put the real one in hiding.
Oh, Da Vinci Code sort of shit.
I watched that again the other day. That's a great.
Have you read the book?
Yeah, loved it.
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it? Shout out Dan Brown.
Dan Brown's awesome. Big fan of this show as well.
Imagine doing that, like pissing all over the Louvre, like the most famous painting in the world, in the history of the world, probably. And then they're like, yeah, just head out to the left. He should be in fucking handcuffs getting gutter stomped, in my opinion, allegedly.
I agree with you. There's some things that are like, sacred's an overused word, but if you're fucking over a precious work of art, like,
France, what are you fucking doing? How is there not one security guard? Like, there's a security guard every time I go to the fucking TAB. There's a security guard checking that I'm not hammered, which I'm not because I'm not a big drinker. So there's 40,000 security guards getting to Northies. How isn't there one security guard standing in front of the fucking Mona Lisa with just a little pistol? And you just got to go pop, and then
security guards test for weed when you go to the tab?
No, and they don't need to either. They don't need to. They don't need to. You're lucky Asada hasn't come to South yet. You'd be bloody Chubby Asada are coming tomorrow. You come in fully hairless, shaved the whole body, shave your head, eyebrows. Yeah, I just became a swimmer.
All of a sudden, I got alopecia.
Did you see that? Did you see the question I had for you? Question of the week?
No, I didn't look at your list.
Oh, it said, I was thinking about the other day, where would you be if you weren't involved with rugby at all?
Holy shit. I'd probably be a lot skinnier.
You reckon you'd be skinnier?
Oh, I would be, definitely.
How?
I never would have played prop. So, all the people that I've met along the way that turned me into this, I probably wouldn't have done that. And I'd probably be rich as well, I reckon.
All right, so we're just basically throwing absolute shade at the. So
rugby.
Where would you be right now? What would you be doing right now?
Honestly, don't know. I reckon I would be overseas somewhere.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I'd probably be in Europe. I'd be in Europe somewhere, I reckon.
I could see you owning like a scuba hire store in like the Gulf somewhere.
I could do that. I've always I used to want to live in Bali. I don't want to anymore because every wanker does it. But somewhere like, I don't know, somewhere cheap, Thailand maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, so basically, from the two places you have given me so far, you want to run a brothel.
Well, that sells scuba gear. Scuba gear is, the face business. By the way, this is something very interesting. Have you ever just walked around town and looked at all the shops and gone, how the fuck do all these people make money?
Oh yeah. I mean, when you go past, like, I went to Paddington, and like you go past the shop that sells like, handbag straps or something only, and
It's
you're like,
20 grand a week rent.
and you're like, what? And it's all beautiful, like, and you're like, what the fucking fuck? How many straps have you got to sell to pay people? Like, what are we doing here? I always think that. I mean, when you're in the slums of West Ryde or Eastwood, like, there's some pretty shitty shop fronts, and you're like, yeah, but he's selling Peking duck out of there, so he's making a killing. But when you're in like
Peking duck, a kind of pinger or something.
Peking duck's an illicit drug. It's what the kids are calling it. No, but when you're in like Paddington or like Rose Bay and you walk past one of those bullshit like weird furniture shops that sell like stools that sort of don't feel very good, and you're like, how many stools you got to sell to make money here? It's unbelievable. I do think that all the time.
You reckon it's cocaine or ice they're selling?
No. I reckon that's mostly like your mechanics, your old school flower shops out the back with the mafia. Yeah, I don't know. Mate, honestly, I think maybe it's just really, really, really rich people have a hobby shop. I don't know, because they can't be selling enough to cover.
Sell like 2 chairs and it's 40 grand. That pays almost half.
Yeah, I suppose. Like, as long as you're finding the right crowd.
Now, what would you be doing if you never played rugby? Sorry for changing.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of the other day, because I was thinking about bye week coming up, and I was like, fuck, what the fuck am I going to do? Or like when you ask normal people what they're going to do, and they're like, oh, I'm going to do this weekend. I'm like, well, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm doing the same thing I do every week. I think I'd be at uni still.
What would you be doing?
I think I'd be working at uni.
Educator.
Yeah, no, like just one of those nerdy fuckers who, like, not nerdy, but like, I think I just have studied forever. My parents sort of did that. So I think I could see myself doing that. When you're at uni, no one really gets on your ass about doing things in real life. So
like that's Van Wilder.
Yeah, a little bit like Van Wilder, but hopefully ticking degrees over faster. It's just like if someone's like, oh, Chubby, what are you up to at the moment? You're like, oh, I'm actually studying for my Masters of Psychology and Intelligence. They will fucking stop there. They don't ask you if you're working. They don't ask how many hours a week you're working. They just say that. So I figure I would have done straight into a master's, straight into a PhD or something like that, and just sat there till I was literally grey in the beard.
Would you do it because you're interested in it, or because you don't want to actually do anything in life?
Oh, a combination of both. Absolutely. But once you get in the role, like, you start working there as well. Like, take a few classes, and those classes actually pay really well. So you take a few classes, you do that sort of shit, and you write a fucking 4 billion word thesis on the site. So I figure I'd be doing that. Otherwise, to be honest, I think things would have panned out far worse for me. That's my like fantasy. But I think in reality, like, it gave me a lot of structure and a lot of things to aspire to. I think I don't know what the fuck I would have done.
So if you could have done enough, if you could have gone back in time and chosen another sport, would you have chosen another sport, or would you have done what you did?
The only one that I would choose realistically is when I was sort of 13 or 14, I was a decent rugby league player. And a similar standard of player to me has a lot longer career in league. And I'm not saying I'd be in the NRL, but like, even if I'm playing New South Wales Cup for a while, like, I get paid okay, and I don't know. So that would be my only choice. But that was really dictated by what school you go to, and sort of you got to make that call. Like, particularly when you're our shapes around 15, 16. Like, are you gonna be a rugby league guy and like trim down, or are you gonna be union? So I don't know. I think I would have gone the same way, but it's definitely worth a question.
I played New South Wales under 16s league. I don't know how. I could never do anything. But who are those two brothers that played? The Manor brothers.
Oh yeah,
they were picked.
Tim's a fucking great guy. Great guy.
I met them literally once and then decided to play rugby. So I got picked in the team and then ended up playing rugby. But I could only imagine what my life would have turned out like if I'd have pursued that.
Yeah, I
Who
mean,
knows?
you're a big drug guy, so like going
I
into,
might be in Byron Bay at this point.
I'll tell you what, there's a good chance you end up in Bali, which is your other fucking dream.
Well, that's right. That's right. They actually have a rugby team. They have a rugby team over there.
Do they?
They do. They do.
Oh, that's right, the Bali 9.
Oh, we probably, yeah. Oh, we could joke about that, I guess.
Oh, fucking, who cares? Don't smuggle shit.
No, that's
That
true.
easy.
That's true.
Go to any of the other countries where they sort of just give you a pat on the wrist. Just everyone knows, don't go to Bali with, like, so you would have to clean out your whole toiletries bag.
Well, this will be interesting and probably news to some, maybe one or two of our listeners, but I'm sure you're very much aware of it, and I've already booked multiple flights. But Thailand has just legalized cannabis.
Really?
Oh, surprise you didn't know.
I didn't know.
Surprise. Yeah, apparently they've legalized cannabis. So it is, considering the drugs are very much frowned upon in Asia.
Yeah, I was going to
generally.
say, because like Singapore and like, you know,
They'll hang you in Singapore.
Yeah. Hang you out to dry or hang you by the neck?
Hang you by neck.
Okay. I just want to clarify. Yeah, fuck, that's a spanner. That's only going to make more fucking people go over there and do dumb shit. You should let Holloway know, mate. He'd be on the first plane out after the Super Rugby season.
Now I'm going to have to edit. Now I'm going to have to edit this, and I don't have time.
No, it's just fucking. If we have to cop it, so does he. Like fake.
That's true.
Obviously, all the drug innuendos fake. Wink, 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 Chubby. But look, you know what? I'm gonna drag it back because this is what I do. I drag things back. I'm gonna drag this back to rugby for 2 seconds, or more general thought. I've been finding, particularly in the last like 4 or 5 weeks, I was never particularly good at this as a player, but the guys who doing all the extras are the ones who are getting way better. I know
They're your best players. They're your best players.
They're our best players. So I looked at like our defense. Our defense for and against was the best in the comp, but our stats on tackle were very poor, really low, like really, really low. So we had to look at like, you know, individual guys who needed help with certain areas of tackling and sort of introduce that as like a weekly thing. It's very hard, as you know, it's very hard to fit everything in the week. So these are things that have to be done before training, after training. And it's made a big difference. But those guys who are doing that sort of stuff are our best players, like week in, week out, you know, and it's, I don't know, it seems so obvious. Like I wish I'd done it myself.
Like I always walk into South whenever I get there, there's someone kicking goals, there's someone throwing lineouts, there's someone in the gym, there's someone doing skills, and they all happen to play first grade, and they're probably the better players in the team.
Yeah,
it's no coincidence that the guys that work hard get the rewards.
Yeah, it's look, I mean, it's not like they're not doing anything, right? Everyone else, because they're coming to training and they're fucking putting in, and you know, at first grade level, it's very rare that you get like a guy who's a non-contributor or something, because they just get dropped. But the guys who like, it comes back to self-awareness, which I always harp on about, but who know that like, oh, okay, this is a deficiency. I need to fix this deficiency. They're the guys who are now like, as the season turns over, like playing the best football and are the more complete guys, where it's noticeable after the game. You go, wow, he was fucking so much better, you know, in his carries than he was a month ago. Whereas, you know, the next person might have, they haven't made any changes. Like it's just so obvious, and something that you know, like you just wish you, again, like Holloway said last week or 2 weeks ago, just take it like an old person's brain and shoot it into a 22-year-old. They're going to the moon.
How bad is it when you see someone waste their talent?
Yeah, it's awful. It's awful.
How bad is it? I must have been what a coach was like watching me, and you fucking go around. But but being on the other side of it's like, fuck. Do you know how good you could be? You know.
Yeah, it's not good. I think that's why I'm not as much of a dick coaching as I was as a player. Or like, I'd like to think I wasn't too much of a dick, but like, I'm, I suppose, a little bit more compassionate because I see things in a different light. I don't know if I'm explaining that well, but you just see things in a different light, and you're like, holy shit, look how much better you've got. Or like, holy shit, like, bro, if we just fix this, like, I don't know where you could end up. You could be calling me from France. Like, let's just, you're on the right track. Like, this is it.
Hey, one of the best ones is we've got a guy who is probably an average third grader 3 or 4 years ago, and he's, was always blaming others and not looking at himself. And then all of a sudden, something flicked in his brain, and he's just taken full accountability for his own performance and his actions and his recovery and his training and all that kind of stuff. And the improvements in this guy in the space of a couple of years, fucking remarkable.
Yeah, it's like it's maturity, but yeah, we have a similar case, like where a guy who's probably more third grade, just in the space of sort of 6-8 months, had a turnaround and sort of matured a little bit, and was like, it's changed everything. It's changed the way he's perceived. It's changed the way he plays. It's changed where he's being picked. Like, and I don't know. It's just that's why when if players aren't self-aware, or like, they send their reviews in and they're not really grasping the areas they're missing. It's really, you can't. Holloway's right. You can't really. You can tell them, but they'll take it in when they're ready. Like, if they're not ready for it, then they're not going to take it.
True, particularly with men. You can't tell men anything. They got to be open to it, I think.
Well, everyone likes this thinking it's like Inception, You got to inception it into them sometimes, but like, geez, people can get better at rugby in a short period. They really can. Like, at whatever position, like through training, or like altering the way you perceive something, or altering work ethic, altering, sometimes you got to amend the way you treat the people around you or whatever. But like, it's powerful, because it takes some guys from 3s to 1s, or it takes some guys from 4s to 2s.
We've talked about this before, but I think just shout out to Tane, who just re-signed with the Tars, which is fucking awesome, and he definitely deserves it. But the point I was trying to make about that is a lot of the Brumbies guys have just resigned as well. And I think that for a long time, people just assumed players were in it for money. And I know that there's some players who've re-signed recently who've been offered significantly more, like life-changingly large amounts more to go overseas. But because the culture's good, they feel like they belong, there's good things happening, and they want to be a part of it. That is just as enticing to players as making money.
Yeah, I mean, you can't put a price on the atmosphere or what it can give you. So, like, if someone's getting, it's like the old Roosters Melbourne Storm thing, like guys perpetually taking massive pay cuts to stay in a team where they get better, they're successful, and they're happy. So, like, it's very hard to price happiness, and it's a credit to the organisations who can retain them. So Tane's one of them. He's had to, I suppose, go the hard way. I think now he's established himself as the 10. I do worry about him, because there's other 10s in the squad. Like, that's just reality. I still worry about him, just because I love him, and I think with your 10 in your squad, like, they've got to have a little bit of tenure. Like, they've got to have the ability to have a bad game and still get picked the next week, like, particularly with young guys.
Something we haven't done well in this country.
No, like,
we've talked about this before.
We have. We're like, we're not even Tane, like, just a player. I've seen it so many times this Super Rugby season. Like, they'll drop a pass, particularly the 10s or the 9s or the 15s. They'll drop a pass, and then they'll kick one out the full, and they get shanked. And it's like, for me, that's not great job security. That worries me a little bit. I don't like that. I think, like, it's sort of like your quarterback. You got to allow them to make a mistake or two. Like, if we're talking a month, of just absolute awful performances, yeah, of course there's accountability, but you got to back your guy a little bit. I think
you got to be able to make mistakes. I I've seen a lot of guys, and it's a mistake I don't want to make as a coach, is guys get hooked after making an error or something bad happening, and then the confidence absolutely plummeting. So I just don't think it's good coaching. If the guy's making consistent mistakes and is doing nothing off the field to fix it, then yeah, that's what you can drop him or have a conversation or whatever. But if it's a one-off, just fucking, you got to allow it. There's a little bit of learning involved.
You have to. I mean, with the good comes the bad. Like if someone's killing it and they're setting things up and doing things and everything's going good and they drop a footy and miss a tackle within 90 seconds, like there was a lot of good before that. So, I agree. I think it's very, very rare. I think that there should be like proper shankings. I mean, they happen, but I think it's a rarity because
I think it's a reaction to the coach feeling under pressure. That's what I reckon, because you got to do something. If you're not winning, you got to do something, and a lot of times I think it's just reaction to coaches being under pressure.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, if you're chasing big time and things like that, I get that.
It's but yeah, look, it's an interesting one. Players making the most of their ability. Well, I guess if you're being really honest, the amount of people that really make the most of their potential is probably very, very few.
No one. Yeah, it's fucking no one. The other thing I'm finding, and I suppose it's because I'm on the other side, is that you really, and I've said this before, so I'm sorry to everyone in Cowra who listens, but like the guys who succeed or get signed train like they're signed before they're signed. They pretend they're signed in the same way that like I'm trying my best to pretend I'm signed, because like they're the guys who they look the part, and I don't care what anyone says. Looking the part is it's fucking 50% of the battle, and then they're prepared like they're signed, and then they're ready to play football at the next level. I just think it's just something that you just see. And you see, it's not even just my club, it's your club as well. Like there's particular guys where I'm like, he's training like a pro. If I take him, pick him up, put him in a red top, he's ready. Whereas I don't know. I don't think you're doing a service to yourself unless you're doing that. And it's very, very difficult, man, because people have got lives. They, after university, people get jobs, you got a girlfriend. Like, how am I going to go to the gym 5 times a week? I agree. But your expectation then can't stay the same. It can't, like, I don't think, unless you're top 2% talent, which I don't know, that exists at the moment in the Shute Shield, but like a Kurtley Beale, but like you got to figure it out. But I don't think you can expect pro outcomes, if you're just doing your 9 to 5, come to training, getting some weights in when you can. Like, unfortunately, I think you got to be a psychopath. It has to be your main focus.
I agree. There's some late developers, but fundamentally, people come through the system and get pushed into Super Rugby at a youngish age because they've been doing all the training. Yeah, it was a mistake I saw a lot. People thought that they would start training once they got into Super Rugby because that was the point of it, rather than being fit enough, skilled enough, technical enough to actually be in there, and then you get better once you're in there. Again.
How are we gonna no one's looking for a project. Not a 24-year-old project, 23-year-old project. They'll take an 18-year-old.
100%. It's a fucking big investment as well.
A 24-year-old project. So I sign you tomorrow, and I go, righto, you're a decent footballer, but you got 1 full year of S&C and training in you before you look like everyone else.
Well, realistically, it's more than a year. It's two plus.
Like to get to minimums,
that's burning a roster spot. And then a lot of the times, once that person actually cracks it, someone else will take him anyway. So there's a huge risk there.
Huge risk. So that's why, I think it sucks, but I don't think, again, unless you're top 2% talent, like freak of nature, you have to fucking put everything else on hold or almost on hold to have a crack properly.
Do you hate seeing guys go overseas because they didn't make it here and kill it overseas? Or do you think that it's, that's good for them? They got some money.
No, it makes me happy most of the time, because up until this year, I mean, it hasn't been a great place to play football in New South Wales. They haven't been super successful for 5 or 6 years. And most of the time, those guys have had at least one experience or, one interaction with a super team, right? Whether it be full-time, part-time, trial match, didn't quite get what they needed. And then they go overseas and they get the love. And look, if what you want to do is be a professional, so you are paid for your services, then that's what you sign up for. So if you're not getting paid for your services in Australia, someone wants to pay you over there, you are a professional and that's what you do for your job. So I like it, but I know where you're coming from, where it's like an opportunity lost, right?
Well, I just feel like with some guys, if they stayed a year, got a couple of Super Rugby games, then gone, potentially, better. But
well, like there's a big trade-off at the moment I see forming between like, do I go to the MLR or do I stay in the Shoot Shield and try? Seriously, that's becoming one that I think is going to be more and more prevalent. Whereas the MLR, I don't think is getting any better. No offense to the Americans. I don't think the standards are going through the roof. I don't think the money's going through the roof. So it's like, I'm 24, 25. I've been involved with some systems. I don't have a contract. Do I stay and play the final half of the Shoot Shield and try and kill it? Or do I go to Dallas? I don't
have a good experience. And
and continue my professional life. And I'm a professional and, I get gear and I don't work and this or that. Or do I, risk, go to the Shoot Shield to get a contract that you really want?
An interesting one in body contact sport, isn't it? Because one injury and all the opportunities are out the door.
I don't know if there's a correct answer, but I know that, sometimes I look at it and I'm like, at certain people at certain times, like signing an APS, if you sign this is purely hypotheticals, don't read into it. But if I sign an EDS or an APS with Canberra, whatever it's fucking called, EDS, I got to play local footy down there. And then only the Brumbies get to look at me. Would I have been better off playing Shoot Shield that year?
See, that's the thing. As a young fella, you have to do it. But look, knowing what you know
am I better? Like I always think about it. Would I have been better off not going to Melbourne? The answer is yes. Because the next year, the Tars did a massive clean out. And I was smoked. But it's not about me. It's about like I watch it and see it. And people, they go down Brumbies that disappear. Melbourne, obviously, even Perth, you go over there, you might end up playing some Shoot Shield later in the season, but you miss most of the season. Whereas if you hadn't signed and been that productive here, you'd have 4 offers. Yeah. So it's such a hard decision. Like you said, you don't have a choice really. Like if the Brumbies knock on your door or the Force knock on your door, and you're just fucking sitting at home watching this podcast, like what are you gonna fucking answer? You're gonna answer the door. But
Sam Talakai rejected the Force early on because he had the foresight, from what I got told. So he had an offer to go from the Force for like an EPS spot and turned it down. And then I think he ended up doing a preseason at the Tars and then ended up getting like one of the big contracts at the Reds, I think, from memory.
Yeah, he ended up at the Reds. Yeah, it's a funny one. I mean, if you have some insight from your manager or some help, but if it's pure. Like I remember my mate Guy Miller did the same thing at first. The Force were like, "Mate, can you come over and train?" And he said, "Nah, I got a job. I can't come over and train. Like you can sign me, but no." And panned out for him, but they basically that made them go and sign him. But yeah, it's very hard to knock back things and be right because I suppose if you knocked it back and nothing ended up happening, you wouldn't feel very good, would you?
One of the things I'm thinking about in a coaching career capacity is having the ability to tell people to go fuck themselves. And I think as a player, if you don't have to take the job, you've got a huge amount of power there. Because like we both know situations where teams have tried to get guys to come in and train for free or for $600 a week or $700 a week. The players have told them to go fuck themselves, and then they've ended up getting paid properly. So I think having the ability to say, nah, go fuck yourself is quite a powerful thing in professional sport.
I think if you have the right backing to it, like if you got the right context, like you go, yeah, look, I've actually got a job. I'm not going to be able to.
That's what I mean.
I'm not going to be able to pay rent and leave rather than, go fuck yourself. I'm worth a contract. Like if you defend it in the right adult way.
Well, look, how you present it is probably not go fuck yourself, but
no. Well, look. Speaking of go fuck yourself, like it's a good on, and I'm not going to have a rant, but Melbourne on Silly Sunday, Mad Monday, whatever the fuck. The Force are as well.
Terrific Tuesday.
Yeah, whatever. But I suppose my point is, do we wait and see now whether we get an influx of fucking Melbourne players and Force players?
Well, I'm sure we'll find out the next couple of weeks, and I'm sure some clubs will get them, and some will have the rest of them sent to Brisbane.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what the case is there, but I know hypothetically, if some of those guys are actually coming off contract or they're middle in negotiations, and
I can play Shoot Shield.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see for the Shoot Shield fans out there, like what happens in the next 4 weeks with players, because some of them are re-signed, and that will mean that their club goes, you know what, it's probably better he get bigger this off season, or some of them will be re-signed and they send them up, and teams are going to vary drastically in what they look like. I mean, it's no secret. It's also no shot, but like East will end up with like fucking 7, like a lot of the Tars when they bounce out. I'm trying to think. Randwick will end up with a couple. So teams are going to change in the way they play are going to change, but some of those teams that are going to benefit, they actually need to kick on without those guys now, because otherwise they won't be able to make the fucking top 8, by the way, which is the dumbest fucking thing ever, but top 8.
Yeah, it's not dumb when you're down the bottom.
Yeah, I know. I'm just. How many teams in the comp? 12.
Yeah, something like that.
And fucking 2/3 make the final. Where was it not always 6 since the beginning?
Yeah, it was to do with 6, but I think the point of it was because there was a lot of games lost in the last 2 years. That the idea was to give the clubs more opportunities to make money and all that kind of shit.
Well, so I don't know if it's working at Eastwood, but it's not filtering down. I'll tell you that.
I find that hard to believe.
Once again, as I stare at my bed, my living room, and my kitchen in the same glance, I know for a fact it's not filtering down.
Oh, man, I'm too tired to fucking make fun of you today. I got up at 5 and went for a walk with Locke this morning. I haven't done that for a while.
As you know, I've been building a deck in the Central Coast. So I drive to my uncle's house every day, and as soon as that car starts, I'm fucking out like a light. I have a coffee as well, and so I slept this morning on the way to fucking Copacabana, and then I managed to stay awake on the way home, which was a personal victory. And now I'm
gotta take it when you can.
Now I'm turning around and going to Carlingford, which is where we train on Tuesdays now, since it's been so wet.
It's nice.
Yeah, it is. Oh, look, it's a nice field, but like, I mean, I think you're in the same boat. Like, fuck, our fields get so fucking thrashed. And I saw
our backfield will never be the same again.
No, our top, like we've got that top field, right?
Yeah.
And visiting teams at the moment, they warm up there, and they might as well just, I don't know, they might as well just do push-ups in the sheds, because it's fucking, like, it's unwalkable. It reminds me of like a photo from World War II. Like, there's fucking people with trench foot hopping around. There's nurses. People are doing morphine up there. It's legitimately World War II.
I remember that one year that I played Rams. I got picked in the Rams. South got knocked out of a semi-final, and then the Tuesday or something was the first Rams training, was when it was at Eastwood. And I've got in the car after work, driven all the way to Milner, stood up on the backfield talking to Heroes, because both of us weren't training.
Oh, yes.
And I've looked at it and I've gone, I'm sorry, Johnny, I can't do this, mate.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I know.
I was done at that point, but fuck, it was not inspiring.
No, it's not. But like it's a flow. I mean, it affects everyone. It affects the lower graders, affects Colts. It affects fucking everything. So it's, the rain's fucked us. I saw some stat where it was like, there's only been 50 days without rain this year.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, it was a week ago, so maybe it was 48. So I've adjusted them accordingly. But like,
fuck.
Yeah, so it showed all the states.
So it's over nearly 2 months worth of rain this year.
No, that's without rain. So everything else has been rain.
Holy shit. That makes sense, because we've had a lot.
So like, WA or something was 100 and 128 and we were at 48. So it's like, I feel like I'm living in London.
Fuck it. Well, Locke's living in London, and he was nice yesterday, but the couple of days before it's terrible, or whatever days it was. And he's like, "Oh, London's sunny and 16 degrees at the moment."
Yeah, exactly.
So I'd rather go there.
Go buy studs, everyone. It's gonna fucking rain forever.
Studs are hard to buy. Studs are hard to buy.
I will. Yeah, I know they're hard to buy. Everyone always fucking tells me that. I will say, you probably shot yourself in the foot, Chubby, because the boys were flying high on caffeine gum again on the weekend. I'm going to try and chew some before I train or before I stand around at training because I'm fucking exhausted. But it appears it's just flying off the shelves, and the more the better.
No, it's been good. I was actually, if I'd have had more foresight, I would have pre-made a Jed Gillespie sold me drugs shirt and bought it in and given it to one of the Eastwood boys after the game. And that would have been good advertising.
Yeah, I would have been really happy about that, man. That would have been good advertising, but no, we are on caffeine. The boys are caffeinated these days, so we are flying. I've had many people reach out to me trying to get into the caffeine gum industry.
Tars just bought another 2 boxes today, so with some best of luck. So 2 boxes means they must be thinking further than this week, which I like. I like that a lot.
Yeah, so I think it's a 1 day only. Oh no, from when the podcast dropped, 24-hour discount. If you type in Greg Sheds, you'll get 15% off your first 15% off your first box.
If you buy over $2,000 worth, I'll give you 15% off. $2,000 worth.
And you got to write that. You got to write Greg Sheds. So that's just a little. That's just for our regular listeners and a little shout out. Before I log off, because I got to drive to 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I'll probably be bang on. Buy property in Cowra if you haven't already looked into it. We're looking to go to Cowra together at some point. Don't know if it'll have anything to do with rugby, but it'll certainly have a lot to do with the rugby club. So we're
good to do a live podcast out there. That'd be fun.
Yeah, just completely obliterate it. Get a keg and just do it from the clubhouse. Put it on for the lads. That would be fucking great. So we are looking into something like that. Buy property in Cowra, fly Eagles fly, and fucking do some research into who you're voting for. You fucking melons.
And go to the Tars this week, man. Fuck, how good is it seeing a full house at Leichhardt? The difference in a year, unbelievable.
The move to Leichhardt was very, very smart tactically. Like it's just smart. Like fuck, the SFS is soulless unless it's got 90,000 people in. You know, you get 15,000 people, 10,000 people at the Tars, and it's heaving. And I'm sure the boys can feel it on the field. So I'm of course behind the Tars by the dictator captain Jed Holloway and all of his subservience there. So good luck to them. Another week of his demands and bowing down to him. But great turnaround for the Tars and fully behind them.
You were on fire today.
Thank you, Chuck.
I let the team down a little bit. Probably wasn't my greatest performance, but I'll make sure I'm more caffeinated for the next one. Yeah,
well, I don't know if you've noticed. If anyone asks if I do have Diet Coke, I've got a 1.25 litre bottle I'm swigging from at the moment, trying to get this sweet 100 milligrams of caffeine out of the whole bottle. So I need to piss my pants. I'm burping a lot, but I've got that sweet hit that is caffeine.
All right, let's end it there. That was inspiring. And please subscribe, like, share. And I'm going to put this out tomorrow. Bye.
Greg Sheds.